New album's great. So I just wanted to ask, what's kind of inspired the creative process? Has it been different to previous albums, or has it been much the same? Talk me through that if you could.
We're all a lot more confident as musicians now. I know me personally, my guitar leads definitely improved
Oh,
dramatically.
great.
Like when I'm sort of playing the older stuff now in my room, I sort of go, "Oh God, this is so much easier than what I did on the third album." And I think that's just like from a confidence boost in playing so much. And then in terms of how we write as a band, I think we were really inspired a lot by the bands we toured with. We toured with Envy last year, we toured with Victims last year, and I think you can definitely hear, like, the songwriting and the sort of atmospheres of Envy have crept into this third album, and then the sort of really driving melodic D beat of Victims has sort of crept into this album. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's very much a product of our experiences. But in terms of how we write, we have always written the same way. We just write in the room. We all turn up for practice, and Liam will have a riff, and then I write leads over everything that he does, and then Mark, does some insane stuff on the drums.
Yeah, it's one of the things that definitely stood out to me on this album and on previous ones is that the drums really sort of elevate it for me. In terms of kind of there's almost this like post-hardcore, there's like crust punk, D beat stuff with obviously a lot of black metal influences. And I mean, are you all kind of musically from different places, or do you kind of all share a lot of the same bands and it just kind of coalesces into this thing that is Svalbard?
We are from fairly different musical backgrounds.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I'm sort of black metal, but that's the would be the flavour that I bring to Svalbard.
Yeah.
And then outside of that, I mostly listen to sort of soundtracks and power metal. So I'm like all about the melody and stuff. Like I don't really listen to hardcore or punk or D beat or anything. I mean, I have a select few bands, obviously Tragedy and Victims and stuff, but I wouldn't say that was like my forte. So it's always really funny to me when people describe us as that band, and I'm like, oh, not even into those things, but okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things that I take from your music is that it is very much coming from the drums, that those influences, but it's working in a way that obviously there are the guitars, for example, and the lead lines that you play are not crust punk or DB or in my mind at all. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah,
definitely.
it's that kind of marriage of the two that really works for me. Does that happen quite naturally, or do does everyone just kind of throw their parts in and it's
I think
different?
we've gotten used to it now, but we do argue a lot when we're and that it takes us a long time to write a song. So it took us 2.5 years to write this album, and that was us together every single week working on it. But yeah, like so to sort of Liam obviously comes from a bit more of a hardcore. He used to play in like a sort of deathcore band as well,
Okay.
and comes from a lot more of that side of things. And then Mark's really into his kind of like crusty oh, what's the word? Like grindcore, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Which I think, as you said, you can really hear that in the drums. So we all sort of turn up and bring our different flavors and butt heads. So eventually, we get tired of butting heads, and a song is sort of born.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I mean, I maybe had the assumption that you write a lot of the guitar parts. Is that not the case? Is it very much a collective
I write
effort?
my guitar parts, and
Yeah.
Liam writes all his guitar parts. So
Okay.
yeah, I do all the leads basically, and everything I'm playing is what I've written, and everything Liam plays is what he's written. But we don't tell each other what to play. Like I could never turn up for practice and be like, "Hey, Liam, play this." That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's nice to hear that a band, a modern band, still have that sort of collective creative process. Because these days you do see, particularly with this kind of music, a lot of, and not bashing that at all, but one person will write all of the parts at home and then they'll take it to the band, and that's great. That works for some bands. But I personally, having played in bands myself, I always got a lot out of just jamming in the rehearsal room or just sharing ideas and changing them and stuff. Is that do you ever write just solely as individuals, or is it always that collective process?
With Svalbard, it's always been a collective process. And yeah, I really like that, what Liam brings into the practice room will be things that make me think in a different way. So, like, it kind of breaks you out of your rut when you're
Of
working
course, yeah.
with other people in the room, and you can kind of have that synergy and bounce off of each other and think in different ways. But before Svalbard, I was in a black metal band and I did everything.
Oh,
I was the musical dictator, and I have actually just during lockdown, I've written another black metal record, just
oh,
me.
excellent.
And so that's been like exploring that different side of like what it sounds like when all of it's just me.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Is it kind of, I mean, if you can't say much about it at this point, I understand. Is it sort of like maybe more traditional black metal? Is it more like the sort of black gaze stuff that you hear today, or?
I would describe it as progressive black
Okay.
metal. So bands like Shilma Gognar, bands like Enslaved have been a large influence. I do really like the euphoric, melodic style of black metal that's more prevalent now, but I'm not the world's biggest fan of black gaze in the form of bands like
Yeah.
Death Heaven, because I feel like they're obviously great at what they do. I'm not knocking it, but for me personally, it's like they've taken the edge off of the black. They've taken the ugliness away, and it's a
Yeah.
bit. So I would say it's definitely melodic what I've been writing, but it's not pretty, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's very divisive, that whole scene, I think, and not necessarily in bad ways. It's just not to everyone's taste, is it? But um, yeah, like you say, I mean, obviously a great band. They're doing well for what they do. And is that going back to your side project there? Is that um, something that you have plans for to do it live later on, and obviously when gigs can resume?
Yeah, yeah, I've already started building a live band
Yeah.
that
Okay.
comprises of my metalhead housemates so far, and yeah, like there's plans. The album's going to come out next year,
Oh,
and yeah,
excellent. Okay.
hopefully it'll be something exciting, I guess.
Cool. Yeah. No, that's great to hear.